Imagine a vast hall built in the heart of Asgard. Its roof is made of shields, and its columns of spears. The gleam of gold reflects on the walls, and before colossal doors, but they say 540. Warriors who died in battle march side by side, under the eyes of Odin. This is Valhalla, Valhöll in Old Norse, the Hall of the Fallen, the promised paradise for those who lived and died for war. But what was Valhalla really? A physical place, a myth, a metaphor created to glorify sacrifice? Or something darker? A symbol of power and fear used by leaders to control the souls of warriors. The origins of the myth. Stories about Valhalla appear in the ancient Eddas, collections of poems and narratives preserved in Iceland between the 13th and 14th centuries. These texts, such as the Grimnismal and the Gylfaginning, describe Odin's hall with almost poetic detail. There, the warriors, commonly called Einherjar, live an eternity of battles and feasts. By day, they fight each other to the death. By night, they revive, gather at the table, and drink mead from the sacred goat Heidrun, which pours endless drink from her horns. The feast is served with the meat of the boar Serimnir, killed and resurrected every day. It is a cyclical, violent, and glorious life, a direct reflection of Viking warrior culture. Who were the Valkyries? But not all the dead reached Valhalla. Only those chosen by the Valkyries, the Valkyrjur, the choosers of the slain. These female figures were messengers of Odin, divine and fearsome. They rode across battlefields dressed in shining armor to collect the souls of the bravest warriors. Their horses, it was said, made blood rain when flying over armies. The Valkyries decided who would live and who would fall. Half of the war dead were taken by them to Valhalla. The other half, according to legend, went to Folkvangr, the field of the goddess Freyja, a more serene place but equally reserved for the brave. How the Vikings believed in Valhalla for the Vikings. Dying in combat was the greatest honor a man could achieve. The idea of dying in bed, old and sick, was seen almost as a shame. They believed that the brave, when taken by Odin, would join the greatest army the world would ever see. The army of the end times. Therefore, Valhalla was not just paradise. It was also an eternal training ground. Every fight and every feast prepared the warriors for Ragnarok. What Ragnarok was Ragnarok, the fate of the gods, was the end of everything. A cataclysm where the skies would open, the oceans swallow the lands, and even the gods themselves would fall in battle. Odin would face the wolf Fenrir, Thor would fight the serpent Jörmungandr, and the warriors of Valhalla, the Einherjar, would march alongside their gods in a final war between order and chaos. They would fight to the last man, and then the world would be consumed by fire, only to be reborn in silence. A paradise made of war. Valhalla, therefore, was not a paradise of rest, but of eternal combat. There was no peace, only glory. At each dawn, warriors killed each other. By dusk, all revived, wounds healed, ready to feast. It was a mirror of a society that saw violent death as the path to eternity. Archaeologists have found evidence of this belief in the form of ornate tombs, ship burials and funeral feasts. The greatest warriors were buried with weapons, shields, food, and even sacrificed servants, all to secure their passage to the other world. For them, the tomb was the first step toward Odin's golden hall. The hidden meaning of Valhalla. Behind the poetic beauty, Valhalla also carried a political and social tone. It was a tool to reinforce values, courage, loyalty, and obedience to the war chief. The promise of a combat, paradise was a way to motivate ordinary men to face death without fear. Those who died for their Lord were believed to earn a place among the gods. But there is something deeper. Some scholars see Valhalla not as a literal place, but as a metaphor, a spiritual state, reserved for those whose bravery would echo through the centuries. Mysteries and curiosities. Many secrets surround Valhalla. The 540 doors. Some texts describe the hall with 540 doors, through which 800 warriors could exit from each, a symbolic number, perhaps representing Odin's celestial army. The sacred animals. An eagle and a wolf guarded the hall's gate, symbols of death and divine power. The goat Heidrun. It fed on the leaves of the sacred tree, Lerata, and from its horns flowed mead that warriors drank endlessly, the eternal meal. The boar Serimnir died every day, resurrecting each night to be devoured again. A cycle of death and rebirth, the Valkyries serving the feast. Besides choosing the dead, they served the Einherjar during the feasts, a symbol of the link between death, desire, and divine power. Between myth and reality, there is no archaeological proof that Vikings truly believed in a physical hall where eternal fighting occurred, but there are signs that funeral rituals simulated this journey. Feasts, offerings, and songs recounted the deceased's deeds, symbolically preparing them for Odin's reception. Some scholars believe Valhalla represented humanity's desire for transcendence through glory, a way to deny oblivion. Others argue it was a political symbol, a myth created to legitimize the chief's authority and inspire obedience. Valhalla in modern culture. Over the centuries, Valhalla ceased to be just a myth. It inspired Wagner's operas, war monuments in Europe, and even modern films and games. But in all versions, the essence remains, the dream or the nightmare of an eternity shaped by blood, honor, and fate. Valhalla is not just the paradise of warriors. It is the purest reflection of a civilization that saw death as the path to glory, and that believed that even after the end of the world, the brave would keep fighting.